The lights dimmed in that packed Nashville comedy club. The kind of place where laughter usually echoes off the walls like thunder. But tonight, there was no thunder. Just a heavy, electric silence that made your skin crawl. Dave Chappelle stepped onto stage. No jokes, no swagger. Just a man with eyes like burning coals under the spotlight. He grabbed the mic, leaned in close, and said words that hit harder than any punchline ever could. They didn't just lose faith in her. They erased her. The room froze. You could hear a pin drop, or, more accurately, you could hear phones whipping out of pockets, cameras, flashing like lightning in the dark. Within seconds, shaky clips were uploading to TikTok and Twitter, racking up millions of views before Dave even finished. His next breath. And everyone watching knew exactly who he was talking about. Erika Kirk, the polished widow of conservative powerhouse Charlie Kirk. The woman who'd been paraded as the grieving symbol of loyalty and faith for an entire movement. But Dave wasn't there to mourn. He was there to expose. He leaned forward, his voice low and deadly, serious, cutting to the stunned silence like a knife. Charlie's family didn't cut her off because of some petty scandal. No, they cut her off because she lied to them. She lied to all of us. And the FBI, they helped her do it. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A woman in the front row clutched. Her chest, tears already welling up. Phones were shaking in people's hands as they hit record, knowing this wasn't comedy. This was a bombshell that could shatter families, topple empires, and make every immigrant, every person who's ever fought for their identity in this country, feel that familiar fire of validation. Because let's be real, we've all seen it before. The powerful ones, the ones with the loud voices and the big platforms, preaching about traditional values while they betray their own. Erika Kirk, with her perfect smile and her Bible verses on Instagram, had become the face of that hypocrisy. But Charlie's family, his parents Robert and Elizabeth, good, hard-working folks who built everything from nothing, they knew the truth. They'd welcomed her in, treated her like their own daughter, only to watch her twist their son's legacy into something unrecognizable. And now, here was Dave Chappelle, a black man who'd spent his life calling out the lies, dropping truth bombs that made the whole room feel seen, feel empowered. The internet ignited like wildfire. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag Erika exposed. Hashtag Charlie deserved better. Hashtag Kirk family betrayed. Comments flooded in from people just like you. Progressives who'd marched for justice. Immigrants who'd built new lives against all odds. Folks proud of their heritage and tired of being erased. Finally, someone says it. One viewer typed, "This is why we fight, because betrayal like this hurts." Everyone who's ever trusted in the American dream. Likes poured in by the thousands, shares rocketing across feeds. Dave's words weren't just gossip. They were a rallying cry. But as the crowd leaned in, hanging on his every word, Dave paused, letting the silence build until it was unbearable. He shook his head, a small, sad smile crossing his face. "You think that's shocking? That's nothing. Because what those family secrets really hide, what Erika's lies were covering up, that's the part that'll make your blood run cold. And trust me, America isn't ready for what's coming next." The applause started slow, then built to a roar, but beneath it all was that electric tension, that unspoken promise. This story was just beginning, and whatever Dave uncovered next, it was going to change everything. Picture this: a sun-drenched Arizona estate, American flags waving proudly, family barbecues where everyone quotes scripture and talks about building a stronger tomorrow. That was the Kirk family dynasty, the one America couldn't stop watching. Robert and Elizabeth Kirk, salt-of-the-earth conservatives who came from humble beginnings. Rob, a hard-working businessman. Elizabeth, a devoted teacher, raised their son Charlie to be the golden boy of the movement. Young, charismatic, filling arenas with fired-up crowds hungry for truth, tradition, and that old-school American dream. And then came Erika, stepping into the frame like she was born for it. Beautiful, eloquent, always clutching her Bible, posting sunrise devotionals about faith, family, and fighting for what's right. To millions, she was the perfect partner, the woman who softened Charlie's edges and made the whole family feel relatable, aspirational, unbreakable. We all bought it, didn't we? Especially those of us who've ever felt like outsiders looking in, immigrants chasing that same dream, proud of our roots, building families against the odds. The Kirks looked like proof that hard work and heart could win, that loyalty and love conquered. Everything. Wedding photos everywhere. Charlie beaming, Erika glowing in white. Lace, Robert, and Elizabeth wiping away happy tears. They welcomed her completely, folded her into the foundation, the fundraisers, the legacy. Elizabeth even called her the daughter I always prayed for. Erika fit right in speaking at events about protecting family values, standing tall for the little guy, the forgotten American. And for a while it felt real. It felt like hope. But underneath the glossy photos and viral speeches, something was shifting. Quiet at first, like a crack in a dam nobody wanted to notice. It started small. Erika launched her own initiative, the Legacy Project, separate from the family foundation. Same mission, same donors, but suddenly the money flowed her way. Robert brushed it off at first. She's ambitious, let her shine, he told close friends. Elizabeth wasn't so sure. Late-night whispers in church circles. Erika changing the narrative, calling it my husband's organization instead of our family's work. Solo red carpet. Appearances, Instagram posts that cropped the parents out, motivational quotes. That sounded less about shared faith and more about personal empire. And the donors, mysterious new names popping up, tied to big money lobbies with government strings attached. Charlie started, looking tired in videos. His smile a little forced. Friends notice him pulling away from family dinners, texting aides about trust issues and where the money's really going. Erika, meanwhile, glowed brighter than ever. Private jets, too. Speaking gigs, seven-figure consulting contracts, wardrobe upgrades at. Scream power, not piety. To the world, she was rising. To the Kirks, she was replacing. Elizabeth confided in a friend, voice-breaking. She's not building with us. She's building over us. This hits home, doesn't it? Because we know what it's like to pour everything into a family, a community, a dream, only to watch someone rewrite the story and claim the credit. Immigrants who've sacrificed everything for a seat at the table, proud queer folks fighting for recognition, people of color holding tight to their heritage. We see the pattern, the way privilege hides betrayal behind pretty words. The Kirks weren't just a conservative family. They were a mirror for anyone who's ever been pushed aside by someone they trusted. And as the cracks widened, Charlie began to smell the poison. He started asking questions, digging into transfers, whispering to aides about control slipping away. The dynasty looked perfect. From the outside, untouchable, unbreakable. But inside those walls, resentment was brewing, secrets stacking up like storm clouds. And the moment Charlie finally confronted the truth about where the money was going and who Erika was really working for, everything changed forever. You could feel the ground shaking, the kind of tremor that comes right before the whole facade comes crashing down. And trust me, what happened next in that mansion would tear the family apart and leave America wondering how we ever believed a lie in the first place. She didn't walk into rooms. She glided, like someone who'd already decided the spotlight belonged to her, and the rest of us were just renting space in it. Erika Kirk, with her honey blonde hair always perfectly lit, her voice soft as a prayer but sharp as a blade when the cameras turned off. To the followers who flooded her DMs, many of them young Latinas, queer kids finding courage in faith spaces, first-gen dreamers looking for a role model. She was inspiration in human form. God called me to lead, she'd whisper into the ring light, Bible open on her lap, sunrise glowing behind her like a halo paid for by donor dollars. And we wanted to believe her. God knows we did. But power has a way of peeling the mask off, doesn't it? The first real glimpse came at a private donor dinner in Dallas. Elizabeth Kirk, Charlie's mother, a woman who'd spent decades teaching Sunday school to immigrant children, welcoming every accent into her classroom, watched Erika work the room alone. No Charlie at her side. No mention of the family who'd lifted her up. Just Erika laughing too loud at jokes from lobbyists with government contracts, slipping business cards into manicured hands promising exclusive access to the next phase of the movement. Elizabeth pulled a friend aside in the ladies' room, voice trembling. She talks about legacy like it's a brand she bought the trademark to, not a family she married into. Then the money started vanishing in plain sight. 7-figure consulting fees wired to a trust registered in Erika's maiden name. Private jets billed to the foundation while Charlie flew. Commercial. A sudden flood of new donors. Shell companies traced back to D.C. Beltway firms that had never cared about Turning Point before. Charlie's aides started calling it the parallel empire. Erika called it visionary, stewardship. And every time someone asked questions, her smile went colder, her scripture quotes got longer, and her team flooded the comments with accusations of jealousy, bitterness, even spiritual warfare. Behind closed doors, the fights turned vicious. One former staffer, a young black woman who believed in the mission until she saw the books, remembered walking in on Erika, screaming at Elizabeth in the Kirk kitchen, "You had your time. This is the future, and the future doesn't need yesterday's gatekeepers." Plates shattered. Elizabeth, tears streaming, whispered, "You're erasing us from our own son's life." Erika didn't even flinch. She just straightened her blazer and said, "Legacy evolves, mother. Catch up or get left behind." Charlie tried to hold the center. He loved her, or at least the version he thought he'd married. But night after night, he'd lock himself in his office, poring over bank statements, scribbling in journals that aides later smuggled out. One entry, dated just weeks before the crash. She says it's for protection, for influence. But I'm starting to think the only thing she's protecting is her exit strategy. And I'm the liability now. That's the part that keeps me up at night. Because every immigrant kid who ever code switched to survive, every queer person who smiled through microaggressions to keep the peace, every woman of color who swallowed her rage so the room wouldn't call her angry. We know. That chill. We felt it when someone we trusted started treating our shared dream like their solo franchise. Erika didn't just want a seat at the table. She wanted the whole table, the chairs, the deed to the house, and our names erased from the guest list. And the coldest moment of all, the night Charlie finally confronted her in the marble hallway of their mansion. Witnesses heard glass shatter, voices raw. Charlie begging, "Tell me it's not true. Tell me you're not selling us out." Erika's reply, ice dripping from every syllable, "I'm not selling us out, Charlie. I'm cashing us in. There's a difference." She walked away in 6-inch heels that echoed like gunshots. Charlie stood there alone, looking smaller than the world had ever seen him. That was the night the dynasty didn't just crack. It shattered from the inside. And somewhere in the wreckage, a comedian nobody expected picked up the sharpest piece and decided the world deserved to bleed truth for once. Dave Chappelle has spent a lifetime making America laugh at its own reflection, holding up the mirror so we could see the cracks we pretend aren't there. He walked away from $50 million because a joke stopped belonging to him. He disappeared to Africa when the industry tried to dress him up like a minstrel. Every time a machine tried to shrink him, he grew bigger, louder, freer. And somewhere along the way, Charlie Kirk, yes, that Charlie Kirk, became one of the few conservative voices Dave quietly respected. Not because they agreed on policy, but because Charlie, at least in the beginning, seemed to believe his own fire. Two men from opposite sides of the map, who both hated being told what truth was allowed to look like. So when a plain manila envelope showed up at Dave's farm in Ohio, No return address. Just a flash drive labeled Phoenix. Drop in Sharpie. Something in his gut twisted. He popped it into an old laptop. He keeps off the grid, slipped on headphones, and pressed play. What he heard wasn't political talking points. It was a family being gutted alive. Charlie's. Handwritten journal scanned page by page. Audio of Erika on the phone. Voice. Honey sweet. Promising a federal contractor that the family won't be a problem much longer. Bank transfers time-stamped the same week Charlie started. Canceling appearances. Saying he felt watched. And worst of all, a 30-second clip of Charlie himself, voice cracking, recording a message in case something happens to me. Dave sat in the dark for hours, cigarette after cigarette, listening to a young man realize the people closest to him had already written his ending. He thought about his own daughters. He thought about every kid who ever trusted the wrong adult with their future. He thought about every immigrant mother who crossed the desert so her children wouldn't have to beg for scraps of dignity. And something inside him snapped, not into rage, but into clarity. The kind of clarity that makes a man put down the punchlines and pick up the truth like a loaded gun. He didn't call his manager. He didn't call his lawyer. He called the one person he knew would understand. Charlie's mother, Elizabeth. A 40-minute conversation, both of them crying, both of them saying the same thing. Somebody has to tell it. Somebody has to make them feel what we feel. When he hung up, Dave opened the envelope again. Tucked in the bottom was a single Polaroid. Charlie and Dave shaking hands, backstage years. Earlier, both of them laughing like the world still had room for honest men. On the white border, Charlie had scrawled, "If they ever try to rewrite me, give them hell for me." That photograph is still pinned above Dave's desk, and that promise became the heartbeat of everything that happened next. Because a comedian who once walked away from Hollywood wasn't walking away. This time, he was walking straight into the fire, carrying a dead man's voice in his pocket and a mother's blessing in his chest. Nashville was a gig. It was a funeral, and Dave Chappelle showed up not to make us laugh, but to make us remember what courage actually costs when the powerful decide your story is inconvenient. He booked the show under a fake name, told the club owner it was personal, told his driver to wait outside with the engine running, and when he stepped on that stage, he wasn't Dave the comedian anymore. He was Dave the witness, Dave the protector, Dave the last honest man, in a country that keeps trying to erase the ones who speak too loud. And in that moment, every single one of us who's ever been told to sit down, shut up, and smile for the camera felt him standing taller than all of us combined. The lights went down. The mic was hot. And truth finally had its night. The house lights were already low when Dave walked out. But the second his boots hit the stage, every phone screen in the room lit up like a constellation of judgment. No intro music, no warm-up act, just a single stool, a bottle of water, and a man who looked like he hadn't slept since the flash drive arrived. The crowd started clapping out of habit, then stopped mid-beat. Something in Dave's eyes told them jokes weren't on the menu tonight. He didn't open with, "What's up, Nashville?" He opened with a name, Erika Kirk. The room inhaled as one organism. You could feel the temperature drop 5 degrees. Somebody in the back whispered, "Oh, shit, he's really doing it." Dave leaned into the mic, voice calm enough to cut glass. Y'all think grief looks like tears and black dresses. Sometimes, grief looks like a legal notice that says you no longer exist to the people who once called you daughter. A woman near the front started crying before he even finished the sentence. Another pulled her hijab tighter, nodding like she'd lived that erasure herself. He painted it slow, the separate foundation, the midnight wire transfers, the way Erika's team started cropping Charlie's. Parents out of photos like they were background actors in their own son's life. Every detail landed like a slap when he got to the part about Elizabeth Kirk, finding her name scrubbed from the donor wall at an event she personally funded for 20 years, Half the room was openly weeping. The other half was filming, live streaming, texting friends. You have to hear this right now. Then came the line that turned the room into a war zone. Dave looked straight into the nearest phone, lens like he was talking. To every immigrant kid who ever felt invisible in their own home. They didn't just cut her off. They erased her because she erased them first. And the FBI wrote the eraser in red ink. The gasp was so loud the sound system feedback squealed. Someone shouted, "Play the tapes." And the chant started, "Play them, play them." Dave held up one finger. "Not yet." The room went feral quiet again. Because tonight isn't about me proving it. Tonight is about you feeling it. Feeling what it's like when the people who smile in your family photos start measuring your coffin while you're still breathing. A Latina in the balcony stood up, tears streaming, screaming, "That's my mother-in-law." And the whole place lost it. Applause, sobs, strangers hugging, like they just survived the same shipwreck. 9 minutes. That's all it took. 9 minutes for a dynasty to bleed out on a comedy stage. When Dave finally stepped back, the roar was deafening. Phones were already exploding. Hashtag Erika Race trending. Before he even left the building, Erika's verified account posted a statement. At 10:47 p.m., a glossy graphic that read, "We will not dignify a comedian," seeking relevance with a response. The replies were brutal, beautiful, righteous. Immigrants quoting their own stories of being ghosted by in-laws. Queer kids posting screenshots of being removed from family chats. Black and brown voices rising in a chorus. "We see you, Dave. We've lived this." But as the crowd surged toward the stage, begging for more, Dave just shook his head, almost sad. He leaned in one last time, voice barely above a whisper, but every mic in the room caught it crystal clear. That was just the invitation. Tomorrow morning, the receipts deliver themselves. Then he walked off, leaving 10,000 people holding their breath, and one widow somewhere in Arizona, realizing the past she buried just, crawled out of the grave with a live mic. And when the sun came up, the first audio file dropped, and mercy was officially off the table. At 9:03 a.m. the morning after Nashville, Dave's private Telegram channel, the one with fewer than 2,000 members, lit up with a single post, a 9-minute audio file titled Legacy_call wave and one line of text. Play this loud enough for the ancestors to hear. The file opened with a soft click of a speakerphone, papers shuffling. A woman's voice we all know now by heart, calm, practiced, the same voice that once comforted millions after a funeral. Erika, Kirk, mid-sentence. "The family doesn't understand how deep this goes. Charlie found things that were never meant to be seen. I told him to stop digging." A male voice, older, clinical. "You did what you were told. He was becoming a liability. We handled it. Now secure the legacy account before his parents. Connect the transfers to the contract." Pause. Breathing. Then Erika, quieter, almost tender. "They already suspect. Robert's asking questions. If he links the money to the FBI contract, we're finished." The call ends with a dial tone that felt colder than any scream. Within 30 minutes, the clip was everywhere. TikTok stitches of Black and Latina moms listening with their mouths open. Queer kids in church parking lots hitting share with the caption, "This is why we don't trust the family values crowd." Immigrants who'd lost everything to paperwork and promises posting side-by-side screenshots. Their own deportation. Letters next to Erika's casual mention of handling a human being. The internet didn't just trend. It wept, it raged, it testified. By noon, Dave dropped the second bomb. Legacy_call_2 wave. This one started with a man breaking Robert Kirk, Charlie's father, voice raw from crying. "You use our son's death to fund your games. We trusted you." Erika, ice cracking for first time. "You don't understand. I was trying to protect him." Robert roaring. "Protect him? Cooperate with Who? A whisper, barely audible. The people who decide who gets to speak and who disappears. The line goes dead on a slam receiver. That was the moment the hero and villain lines drew themselves in blood. On one side, a grieving father who sounded like every immigrant dad who ever begged the system for mercy and got silence. On the other, a woman who weaponized scripture to barter a life. Comment sections turned into altars. My abuela played this to the whole block. One user wrote, "We lit candles and prayed for Charlie's parents the way we pray for our own dead." Then Dave went live. Just him, a cigarette, and a folding chair in what looked like a basement. 4.7 million viewers in 8 minutes. He didn't gloat. He looked exhausted, righteous, heartbroken. Y'all hear her say, FBI contract, like it's a Venmo request? That's not grief talking. That's access. He played a third fragment, this one. Only 20 seconds, but it gutted the country. Erika again, frantic. Post-crash, it's out. He kept backups. If the family gets them first, everything burns. A different male voice calmed Federal. Stay quiet. We'll handle the Kirks. Chat exploded. Mothers holding their kids. Tighter. First-gen college students texting their group chats. This is why we document everything. A trans creator with 2 million followers posted a tear streak video. Erika taught Sunday school while selling a man to machine. Never let them tell you respectability will save you. Dave stubbed out the cigarette, looked straight into the lens, and spoke to every single person who's ever been told there. Story doesn't matter. This ain't left or right anymore. This is about who gets to bury the truth and who gets buried with it. Then he held up a final file, thumb hovering. This last one isn't from Erika. It's from Charlie, recorded 6 days before they handled him. The chat froze. 10 million people holding their breath at once. He pressed play. Charlie's voice, weak, terrified, but clear. If anything happens to me, look at Erika's emails. The foundation isn't what it seems. And if the FBI gets there first, the truth dies with me. A shaky inhale. Tell my parents I try to fix it. Tell them I love them. And tell the kids watching, don't let them rewrite you when you're gone. The stream cut to black. No music, no graphic, just silence that felt holy. Then the comments became a movement. Hashtag Charlie tried. Trending in 17 languages. Immigrant families posting photos of their own. Kids holding signs. We won't be rewritten. Queer youth lighting candles under. Pride flags with Charlie's last words written across them. Brown and black. Creators stitching the audio with their own stories of being disappeared by. Systems wearing smiles. Dave never came back online that day. But he didn't need to. The calls were out. Erika's polished mask was shattered on the floor in a million pieces. And somewhere Robert and Elizabeth Kirk were, listening to their son's voice for the first time in years, crying in each other's arms while the whole world finally stood witness. But the files kept coming, because Charlie built something they couldn't kill, a vault that opened itself when the liars thought the story was over. And when that vault cracked wide, America wasn't ready for how big the darkness really was. It started at 2:17 a.m. Eastern, a single post on a dead account that suddenly came back to life. A torrent link labeled iron_vault_recovered, 312 gigabytes. Everything Charlie hid so they couldn't hide him. No password, no ransom note, just a countdown timer ticking from 1 hour. By 2:30, the file was mirrored on every corner of the internet that refuses to kneel. Immigrant Discord servers in 10 languages lit up. Queer group chats passed the link like contraband hope. College students who grew up watching their parents deported for less started, seeding it faster than any agency could take down. The upload bar crawled toward 100%, and with every percentage point the world got quieter, like we all instinctively knew we were about to watch a funeral in reverse. At 98%, the stream glitched. Every mirror site flashed the same red banner. Federal interruption in progress. Phones buzzed with emergency alerts that weren't supposed to exist. YouTube buffer spun. Twitter feeds froze mid-scroll. For one terrifying minute, it felt like the reset already won, like the machine reached through the screen and pressed delete on all of us. Then the bar hit 99.9%, and the screen went pure. Black. A single line of white text appeared, typewriter slow. They can delete files. They can't delete memory. The torrent completed. The vault doors blew. Open. First came the emails. Thousands of them. Subject lines that read like horror poetry. Asset E. Kirk. Compliance check. Pivot to martyrdom narrative if exposure risk rises. Legacy recovery. Internal recompensation. For $0.2 million approved. Then the photos. Erika smiling at A. Virginia retreat next to men whose faces were redacted in every official database, but not here. Charlie's handwritten notes, scanned and shaking close-up. She keeps saying it's for protection. Protection from who? From me? Then the video folders. Dozens of them. One, labeled simply widow practice. 30-second clips of Erika in an empty studio, practicing tears, perfecting the tremble in her voice, mouthing the words, "My husband was taken too soon," until the grief looked Oscar-worthy. Another folder titled Polaris Assets, with headshots of pastors, influencers, even a few progressive allies who'd once shared stages with her, each marked, activated, or retired. The worst was a 2019 voice memo from Erika to an unnamed handler. Charlie's asking too many questions about the faith-based data collection. If he goes public, it jeopardizes the whole program. Do I have authorization to escalate? The reply came back in under 4 minutes. Escalate approved. Make it look organic. That was when the crying started in earnest. Not performative internet tears. Real ones. Mothers holding their sleeping kids. While reading Charlie's last journal entry out loud, trans veterans who'd been discharged under Don't Ask, posting side-by-side photos of their own, dishonorable paperwork, and Erika's expense reports, undocumented students, live streaming themselves burning printed copies of her old family values, speeches like they were cleansing letters. By sunrise, the mirrors had been taken down 17 times and re-uploaded 17,000. Every time the feds killed a link, 3 more bloomed. The vault wasn't file anymore. It was a virus of truth, self-replicating in the bloodstream of everyone who'd ever been told. Their story didn't count. And in the middle of the chaos, one final video began auto-playing on every surviving mirror. Grainy security cam footage dated 3 days before the crash. Charlie alone in his office at 3 a.m., staring straight into the lens like he knew we'd be here one day. Voice calm, eyes already dead. If you're watching this, the vault worked. Tell my parents I fought as long as I could. And tell the kids who look like you, sound like you, love like you, never let them write the ending for you. The truth doesn't die. It just waits for the right people to carry it. The screen cut to black, but the vault stayed open. And somewhere in the static, we all heard the next door creak. 2 years the day after Charlie's crash, as if someone set a calendar reminder in hell. Every dark mirror, every encrypted drive, every phone that still carried a fragment of the iron vault lit up at once. A single file appeared, no torrent this time, just pushed. Auto-opened. Unstoppable. Title, widow_cup_final.mp4. Length, for minutes, 33 seconds. Caption, in Charlie's own handwriting. Play me when they think they've won. The screen flickered to life on a face we thought we'd never see alive again. Charlie Kirk, pale, unshaven, eyes red from no sleep, sitting in what looked like a cheap hotel room. Behind him, a window with blackout curtains and the faint glow of a laptop showing code running. He leaned toward the camera like he was whispering across time. If you're watching this, the vault did its job. And if you're watching this, Erika is gone. Not dead, gone. Protected. Relocated. Rewarded. His voice cracked on the last word. She scheduled this. Upload herself 2 years after my death. Thinking she'd be untouchable by then. Thinking she'd get the last word. But I knew her better than she knew herself. He held up a flash drive painted with the same blue ink we'd seen in Dave's final stream. This is Polaris Reset. The kill. Switch for everything they built on my back. Erika was supposed to destroy it. Instead, she kept it as insurance. And insurance always gets collected. Charlie looked off camera. Tears falling freely now. Mom. Dad. I'm sorry I didn't listen sooner. I thought love could fix what power broke. I was wrong. Then, turning back to us, to every immigrant kid who ever felt disposable, every queer teen told their truth was a phase, every brown and black voice shouted down by respectability politics. They use faith to control us. They use grief to silence us. But memory is a fire they can't put out. You're the fire. The feed glitched hard. Erika's voice cut in, panicked, from another room. Charlie, stop. They're here. A door slammed. Footsteps. Charlie's eyes widened, but he kept talking faster. She thought she was saving me by joining them. She thought signing the papers would keep me breathing. But when I said no, the deal changed. The car was an accident. The silence afterward wasn't grief. It was cleanup. Static swallowed the picture. 420. Endless seconds we heard only breathing, a struggle, then Charlie's whisper, right against the mic. Erika, if you're watching this with them, know this. I forgive you, but I will not let you bury the rest of us. The screen flashed. White. One final frame froze. Charlie smiling through blood on his lip, holding the blue drive up like a torch. Then text typed in real time by someone. Something else. Upload complete. Widow archive authenticated. Scheduled by E. Kirk, executed by memory. The file ended, but the fire began. Across the country, candles appeared in windows, playgrounds filled with kids holding signs that read, "We are the fire." Immigrant mothers played Charlie's forgiveness speech at dinner tables, while their children translated it into languages the feds never learned. Queer elders who survived conversion camps posted selfies with tears and raised fists. He forgave her, so we don't have to carry the hate. We carry the torch instead. And in that moment, the story stopped being about a widow's betrayal. It became about a dead man who reached through time, handed us the match, and trusted us, you, me, every name they tried to erase, to burn the right thing down. The reset failed. The fire is lit, and the final file is already on its way. Section 9. You are the resistance now. Outro and call to action, 300 words. We started with a widow in perfect black, tears. On cue, scripture on her lips. We end with a dead man's whisper echoing in. Millions of throats that refuse to be silenced. Charlie Kirk didn't die for a movement. He died because he tried to give the movement back to the people it was stealing from. The kids translating truth in their parents' kitchens. The queer teen stitching his last words over pride flags. The immigrant mothers who now play his forgiveness speech like a lullaby that says they can't erase us anymore. Erika thought grief was a brand she could trademark. Dave proved truth is a fire you can't trademark. You can only carry. And tonight, that fire is in your hands. So here's the only question left. Will you let them reset tomorrow, or will you become tomorrow's memory that refuses to blink? Download this video before they scrub it, mirror it, seed it, rename it, hide it in family group chats, in graduation, slideshows, in the songs your kids will sing when someone tries to tell them their story doesn't belong here. Every share is a vote. Every comment is a torch. Every like is a refusal to forget. We are the vault now. We are the fire, Charlie, lit with his last breath. And the machine is already scared because it finally understands. You can delete files, but you can't delete a people who remember who they are. Hit subscribe if you're ready to keep the flame alive. Drop your story in the comments. Your truth is the next upload, because The Widow archive was never the end. It was the beginning, and it's still uploading in you